now. Okay. So if you recall, last Friday, we talked a little bit about test retakes, how that goes. All right. There are three main things that have to happen in order for you to do a test retake. From what we remember on Friday, just a quick review, what are the three big things that you have to do before you will be able to retake tests? Give me one. Give me one. Yeah.
You have to have no missing assignments.
No missing assignments, right? So you don't need to make sure you're checking in portal. Make sure you don't have any missing assignments. If you do, you need to get those turned in. What was the second thing you had to do? Yeah, email parents and teacher. And what did that email need to? Until I got you, Lilstetter, so you can answer the third one. What does that email have to have in it? Yeah. Do you recall? Okay. What's something that email had to have in it?
The date.
So the date that you're planning on doing the retake, right? What day are you planning on retaking? Yeah.
Oh, also it needs to have the question corrections page.
Test corrections in there, just to make it easier for everyone involved. And FYI on that, make sure that you either allow me editing access or turn on comments, so that way if you have something wrong, I can tell you. So yeah, that email needs to have what your original score was. If you have any missing assignments, what assignments you're missing. Your plan for getting your assignments turned in. The date you're planning on doing your retake. Okay. So make sure your email has all that. The easiest way to do it is to just fill out the template. Okay. And so what was the third thing that you had to have? So we said no missing work. We said the email. What was that third thing?
You have to do the test corrections.
Test corrections. Okay. So we need to have the test corrections taken care of. All right. So with that in mind, remember the other thing that we did Friday was you had a little bit of time to work on completing that atlas work. So here's what today is going to look like. For your due now, I'm going to give you some time to work on that atlas work or finishing up the test corrections. I've had some people who've got them finished up. For the test retake, it will not go to Google Classroom. I will email you a link, and then you can do the retake that way. We've already had some people who have retaken the test. Okay? So you need to be looking for that in your email. So for this next 10 minutes, I will give you a chance to work on test correction overview or finishing the atlas work, because we are going to be grading that and turning it in today. Okay? Now, if you have done both of those things, I want to point our attention to our new learning goals. So we have learning goal 5. I can support the following claim. The development of agriculture was one of humankind's most important innovations. And then learning goal 6 is I can define the following words: populate, domesticate, revolution, nomad, and agriculture. Okay? So, if you have finished test corrections, if you have finished the atlas work, what you're going to do is start defining these words here. Okay? You're going to need your book, and you're going to turn to page 21. That's where you'll start seeing those vocabularies. Okay? Any questions on what you'll be working on for this next 10 minutes? You have 3 choices. First choice is test correction stuff if you need to do that. Second choice is finish the atlas work because we're going to be grading it. Third choice is working on these vocabulary words. Any questions? Okay, you can go ahead and start working on that. For people who are at home, you should have a good look at these vocabulary words in case you need them. So, I believe, Brawley, you were next. Yeah, what did you say?
Do you want to answer? Because you're on table as well. Or you want me to? Okay. Pages 28 through 41.
Pages 28 through 41. So, yes, that is Unit 3, but it didn't ask for the unit. It asked for the pages, right? So, it'd be like in math class, if your math teacher said, hey, what's 3 plus 1? And you were like, 2, right? Or if you said, what's 3 plus 1? And you were like, -4. So even though all the components are there, it's not the correct answer. All right. So keywords are going to be really important when we're analyzing documents, when we're looking at our atlas. So the big keywords were ancient, Greece, and Rome, right? So if you look, we see ancient here, but not Greece and Rome. We see ancient here. We see Greece and Rome. So there are our pages. All right. You want to learn about the causes of the French Revolution. Which unit would you look at? Yes. Unit 9. And what years does Unit 9 cover? Yeah, go ahead.
1775 to 1910.
1775 to 1910. So, again, if we're looking at revolution, that's our key word here. So when we're looking through the table of contents, you don't have to read every single little thing. Look for that word revolution. I see revolution here. So now I start to look for French Revolution. Don't see it. I see revolution here. I see French Revolution, so this is where I need to look. And then our pages, like I told you, it's important to look for those pages in red. Question?
So I didn't actually, for some reason, I wrote down the name of the unit. I didn't write down that. So on that one, I wrote down Revolution still.
Gotcha.
That still count as correct.
So you wrote this part down, but not
Yes.
the number.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you have the same question? Yeah.
I wrote down the right unit, but I accidentally wrote down the wrong.
So you wrote down the right unit, but the wrong years?
I didn't know if you were right.
Okay, so with this, every blank is worth 1 point. So you get 1 point for having the correct unit, but you'd miss the point for having the wrong years. Okay. All right. You are studying China from ancient times to 1800s. Which two units would you look at to find more information about China during this period? What's one of the two units? Okay, that's okay. So that's really important that we're distinguishing, right? What the question is asking us to do, right? And so we're still working on that skill, but we got to make sure you see what the question's asking, right? So since it's talking about units, you're going to be looking for China, and it gives us two things to look at: ancient China, and then it gives us a date. So instead of reading all of this, we can skim the table of content headings, and we're looking for the clue words ancient and China together. I don't see it here. I see ancient here. I see China here. So this is one of the units. Unit 2. Yeah. So if you put the year for this part, that would not be correct because it's asking you for the units. Okay? So that'd be like in Miss Sullinger's class, if she asked you to answer something in gallons and you said it was in milliliters or liters, right? So you got to make sure you get that correct. So it's important. All right, so unit 2, the other thing we're looking for is a date. And remember how I told you that with the table of contents, the dates are in red? So it said the year 1800. So instead of reading through all this, I'm going to skim the dates until I find the year I'm looking for. So I see the year 1800 here, right? Because 1800 is in this time frame. So now I'm going to check and see, could that be someplace where China could actually be? Well, it says cultures of Asia. I know that Mr. Burke taught me last year that China is in Asia. And even if Mr. Burke didn't teach you that, I'm sure your 5th grade social studies teacher did, right? So we know that this is probably where we're going to be looking, and so it's unit 4, okay? You need help finding the countries of the world in the year 200 and today. Reference maps would help. Where would you find these maps? Yes.
Pages 110 to 121.
Pages 110 to 121, right? So if we look, our table of contents, well, the question gives us a big hint. The question says, reference maps would help. Here's a tip for your everyday school life. If your book or question tells you something that will help you, listen to that advice. So it tells us that the word reference maps will help. So what are we looking for on our table of contents? What words would we be looking for? Yeah. Reference maps. So I'm going to scan, and I see reference maps here. Now, the question is asking me, what pages would I find reference maps on? All right? So do you want to take another stab at that one? What pages are the reference maps on?
122 to 131.
122 to 131. My guess is you probably saw this, but then you looked up and then didn't make sure that they were matching up. So it should be pages 122 to 131. Any questions on this middle part here? All right, so once again, I'm going to try to do this from memory, but then I was like, no, I'll just go to the answer. That way, don't get anything wrong here. All right, so in case you needed the answers again, A is pages 28 through 41. B is Unit 9, 1775 to 1910. C should be Unit 2 and Unit 4. D should be pages 122 to 131. Right? However many you got correct out of 6 for that part, yes.
It's like 1775 to what?
Well, you have a atlas, so make sure you're highlighting that so that you can go back and check it later.
Yeah, I just
1910.
okay. So I gotta find those.
All right. And then the third section what I'm going to have us do is based off of pages 4 and 5. If you know the answer, say the answer. Okay. So, A, introduction, what number is that?
30.
Okay. B, topic title, what number is that?
2.
C, A, B, C, D items, what number is that?
4.
Unit title, what number is that?
1.
So once again, for this third part, it should be A3, B2, C4, D1. Okay? 3, 2, 4, 1. All right. So right however many you got correct out of 4 on that bottom part. And then what you are going to do at the top, yeah. Oh, the ball part. Okay. This is our sorting thing. Okay. So what you're going to do, up at the top, in that blank spot next to your name, you are going to write down however many you got correct out of 15. Okay? So, off to the side, you have your correct for each section. At the top, you're going to count, you're going to write how many you got correct out of 15. Okay? With this last little bit of time that we have left before class is over, what I would like for us to do is talk about learning goal 5. So that way tomorrow we can just jump right in. So that was not the greatest thought process. I'm going to be giving these back to you. Okay. You. So learning goal 5, this is what we're going to be spending tomorrow working on. And I want to let you know there will be an assessment grade given for this. Okay? It's not going to be a test though, it's going to be a written response. Okay? So learning goal 5 is I can support the following claim. So before we talk about what the claim is, let's make sure we know what a claim is, right? Or what support is. So I can support. If we look over here at our words, support means to offer evidence or data to illustrate your point. So for this one, can you do me a favor? Can you have time? For this one, I'm giving you the point to prove, right? The point that you have to prove is already here. The point that you're trying to prove is that the development of agriculture was one of humankind's most important innovations. So basically what I am asking you to do is you have to offer evidence or data that proves that the development of agriculture was one of humankind's most important innovations. Okay? So if we're going to do that, it might make some sense to kind of know what some of these words mean. So if we think about it, have we learned what agriculture means yet as a class? No. Does anybody have an idea of what agriculture is? Any guesses? Yeah. Growing things. That's a pretty good explanation, right? Yeah.
Like the goods that come from culture.
The goods that come from your culture?
Yeah, like your country.
Right. So we learned what culture is. So maybe agriculture are the things that come from that culture, right? Any other thoughts on what agriculture might mean? Okay, so we will be diving a little bit more into agriculture tomorrow and what it means, but just a quick kind of definition, something so we can kind of understand what Mr. Seymour is asking us to do. So agriculture is the domestication of plants and animals for human consumption or human use. So basically today, the two terms that we use that kind of cover agriculture would be farming and ranching. So you know if you have a ranch, you usually grow animals for people to like consume or use. If you have a farm, you grow plants for people to consume or use. So the development of farming and ranching was one of humankind's most important innovations. Do we think it would be a good idea to like know what the word innovation means?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not.
What is an innovation?
I'm guessing it's like a culture's, like a society's, like big idea.
Okay. So maybe a society's big idea. How many other people had the thought of an idea when you heard the word innovation? How many other people were like, yeah, that has something to do with ideas? Yeah. So an innovation is kind of like an idea that leads to an idea that leads to more efficient use of time. All right. So an innovation is something that helps us to use our time better. Sometimes it can be an invention, sometimes it can be a thought, sometimes it can be an improvement on something that's already around. Right? So basically, you're going to prove the point that the development of farming and ranching was one of humankind's most important ideas that led to us being able to use our time more effectively. Okay? That's basically what you are trying to prove tomorrow. And we'll be using our resources to give us evidence to support that claim. Are there any questions on what that learning goal means? Because it's kind of a big one.